Good evening and welcome to the committee of the whole meeting of City of Sandwich. Tonight is February 16th, the time being 7 p.m. The meeting is called to order. Will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by our administrator?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will Clerk Yee please call the roll?
Alderman Arnett.
Here.
Alderman Chun.
Here.
Alderman Danko is absent. Alderwoman Erickson.
Here.
Alderwoman Inman.
Here.
Alderman Ketchum.
Here.
Alderman Kreinbring.
Here.
And Alderman Robinson.
Here.
All right, with the quorum present, let's move on to the mayor's report. I did give you a couple documents, although the city administrator has not officially notified me of his intent to retire. I have started the process, so you have some documents before you tonight to start looking at. And as soon as I get that and it's all official, then we will start moving forward with the job announcement. Second item is last year, previous council had heard a proposal about military banners in the city, and that was received by them and welcomed. So you have a document that, in my conversations with Jeff, he felt that was too much for the city to take on with the administrative part. So it has been presented to both of the veterans groups in the community, and one of them will take on the responsibility of that. The city will need to identify the proper location for the flags, so they won't have any issue with vetting their eligibility, payment, documentation, pictures, processing. The city will just do three pieces. They'll identify the location for which they can be displayed. They will place them up in the time frame, which will be May 15th through just after Veterans Day. And then lastly, a place to store those. And then the Veterans Group will be in charge of any replacements that occur or new banners. So just a little document that's kind of follow along and for you to take a look at. It's based on a couple other communities that have done similar projects. And then we'll move forward with those orders being placed and then the city putting the banners up. So that at least give the council something to look at, which is what a typical program will look like for them to self-elect into it and then pay the price. I think that currently the price will depend on some of the shipping requirements and another option with some warranty, but it'll probably be between $125 and $140 a banner. They're full color. They should last more than 1 or 2 seasons. It just depends on the weather and the sun, but I know that the response back from the 2 veterans groups in town, the VFW Legion, was a lot of people had interest. So I think it looks nice for our community. It does a nice job of displaying those. So we do need a mutual document, and so that's just a draft of what that program would look like. So it's for your reading, and let's see if any objections. We'll probably move forward with that program here in probably a week or 2. All right, attorney report for Kleinthorpe Jenkins. Howie Jablucky.
Nothing to report this evening, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Clerk report, Denise E.
I just want to warn everyone, so to speak. It was discovered this morning that an ordinance that we had passed, 2026-01, that was approving the map amendment for 2300 East Church Street had a scrivener's error in it. And so at the next meeting, we'll have to pass an ordinance acknowledging that, and it was the street address that was incorrect. Everything else was fine, but the street address was incorrect.
Okay, thank you. City Administrator report, Jeff Penman.
Good evening. Just wanted to, I do have a request from our superintendent of wastewater to carry over 40 hours of unused vacation and be paid out for 40 hours of vacation. So I've got that and I'll submit that to you, the mayor. Wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. We did get results from our PTAB discussions this spring. There wasn't a lot of surprises. It wasn't very advantageous for us. Let's put it that way. We didn't do particularly well. We didn't do as bad as we could have, but it wasn't fantastic. So, and then I did receive a proposal from a local plumber to go door to door and try to determine what lead service lines are in the community. I've thrown together a quick RFP that is being looked at by legal. that I want to try and get a couple more prices from, but I'm hoping we can use I have confirmed with Steve Dennison that we can use that $40,000 grant to pay that person to go door to door and begin to try and get a better handle on some of those lead service lines. So that's all I've got for tonight.
All right, questions for Jeff?
Do we not have staff that's currently doing that? Jeff?
Not actually going into the homes unless they're swapping out meters.
So basically, we're gonna have a plumber go house to house and do what we could have our staff doing.
Well, not with the grant money, you can't. You can't use it for your own staff. You have to pay somebody to
I'm
do
not
that.
saying, but is there something else that grant money could be used
We could use
for?
it for potholing if we wanted to, but we found last year that wasn't effective. I mean, this is one way to be able to get in and get a good look at it, from somebody who knows.
Well, I'd rather be smart about how we're gonna use the money this time, because like you said, the potholing didn't work. We had incorrect numbers, and this was last summer that we were doing this, working on this, and we still don't have a plan put together as far as how or when we're gonna figure out every household in Sandwich, whether it's got a lead service line or not.
Well, I thought this was a step closer to getting that, but if the council wants to give me a different direction, that's certainly fine too.
It's just asking a question, because 40 grand, if we could use it towards something else other than paying somebody to do what a city employee could do, that's what I'm asking. What I'm being told by you is that the only time we have a city employee doing that is if they're in there to swap something out.
Well, typically, because they are either reading meters, they're doing go-backs, because we have meters that don't work properly, they're fixing leaks and things like that. I mean, we don't have anybody who's just sitting on the bench waiting to go check these. I know everybody thinks that we do, but we don't.
No, I don't mean that at all, but maybe, like for an example, that week in May, where we've got 5 of 7 people from the street department that are in training, maybe the other 2, if they know how to identify, or they work with somebody from water, sewer, whatever, to identify what lead line, maybe that would be an opportune time for them to do that. Just a suggestion, but
Well, I think the question is how far would the grant money go if we use it for this intended purpose, right? So having someone that's a plumber, they could also identify if there's some other issues with the line, not that they'd fix it themselves, but I thought the question was, can we get farther in the program? This will certainly get us there. The limitation is that we can't use it for our own people, so this person would call, set up the appointments, do the inspections, get as far as they could, and then we would use our own staff and maybe even some of the council members to fill the gaps. This gets us a very, very good jump on the process from where we were at.
And I like the idea of somebody that's licensed and they would know that, but let's not use the licensed plumber to be, let's find out when their availability is or whatever, and then let's use our staff to set up the appointments to be going to the residences rather than paying the plumber X amount of dollars to be doing an administrative thing that at the very least we could have our staff doing. Just a thought, but it would be a smarter way of getting further along, I would think, with that dollar.
Yeah, we have to revisit what the grant can be used for. I don't think potholing was successful for us, though.
No, the money, paying the plumber 100%, I'm okay with that. But I'm saying, let's not have the plumber being the one that's spending his time on the phone making the appointments.
Right.
Couldn't we have our staff make the appointments, and all the plumber's doing is knocking off by street, by neighborhood?
Yeah, I think we can put it as an option there. They can get A or B just to see what the price is. If it's minimal, there's not much of a difference. We can make a decision from that point, though. Okay, other questions for Jeff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did we have a water main break this weekend,
We did last weekend, yes.
last weekend?
I'm not aware of one this weekend, but
Okay, so it was last weekend.
that's my understanding, yes.
Where was it at?
It was on Wells Street.
Was anybody in the city notified other than the water department? I don't recall.
I got a text.
The mayor was, the
I don't-
chief knew.
I don't recall ever seeing an email, a text, or anything, so I'm just curious.
No, I did not send anything out, no.
What's that?
Eddie this weekend?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I mean, if you're aware of something I'm not, please let me
I
know.
was notified by a resident that we had a water main break on Eddy Street, and
Okay. Then I need to have another conversation with staff that they need to keep me in the loop. But I'm sorry, yeah, Go right ahead.
It's frustrating, right?
No, it's very aggravating because.
Very aggravating
The
when
thing
you're
is,
not.
is that, no,
If
I'm
staff's
spending,
not sharing information with you. And that's the point I'm trying to get. Same thing, when we aren't getting information.
okay,
That's all I'm saying. Two-way street there. You can't be upset with staff not telling you if you're still not telling us, sir.
absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, I knew that the break had occurred on Wells. I don't know any other information, how severe it was, what they found when they opened the surface. I mean, it is that time of year. Okay, other questions for Jeff? All right, EMA report, Tony Eberly?
I wanted to thank Alderman Kreinbrink on behalf of the local Mavis for a donation of 6 radios and chargers for the EMA team. That's all that I had.
Okay, thank you. Chief Senni?
Okay, I have several things. I'm just gonna go over my, just my 2-week update, and then I also have the monthly and then also the yearly update I'd like to share with you all. So just the events for the last 2 weeks. They had the police explorers, and we also did beanbag baseball. Just an update on the police applicant process. So the police commission met, and they have taken the applications, they looked at them to see if they met the standards. By the standards, meaning the fact that they completed the application properly. We remember we were originally at 37. We are now down to 21 entry-level candidates and 1 lateral candidate. The testing is scheduled for this week, being on the 18th and 21st. Just update on the vehicles, the 2 squad cars, actually, yeah, the 2 squad cars are up there. Met with them or spoke with them last week. They should be done hopefully late this week, beginning of next week, to go up and get them. The administrative car is also up there. They're working on getting that finalized. Once those 3 squad cars are done, the K-9 squad car will then go up there for them to swap out. They're talking with them. They're trying to get all the stuff done on that K-9 squad car before we bring our K-9 squad car up there, so that way they can have that squad car done in probably 2-3 days, as opposed to having a whole week of the squad car being up there. And then once all those vehicles come back, we'll have a discussion. Jeff, I, and the mayor will discuss where those other 3 vehicles will be going on that. We did have our yearly awards last Monday, and I just want to publicly recognize Officer Beatty for his traffic enforcement that he did in 2025, and then also want to recognize Officer Lundstein for his DUI enforcement that he did in 2025. And I also want to recognize Detective Keith Raminsky for being the Employee of the Year in 2025. Hard work by all those officers there. There were some other awards that were also done that day. We made a post on Facebook for that. Just an update, generator bid still, that's out, that's due on the 23rd. Looking to have that to you guys on the council meeting on March 16th. The cleaning contract, that bid process was complete, and currently conducting reference checks and then also background on the bid process there. I'm going to switch over to a yearly or the monthly report. I know you guys just got that. I just want to give you guys a brief overview of the department's activity for January 2026. January is a strong and productive month for the department. 88% of our calls for service were proactive, which means our officers are not just responding to calls, but actively engaging in enforcement, traffic safety, community patrol, and crime prevention efforts. That proactive percentage is consistent with our year-to-date average as well. We handled several significant incidents this month, including multiple domestic battery arrests and ongoing investigation involving sexual exploitation of a child. That case still remains a priority and reflects our continued commitment to protecting vulnerable members of our community. Our detectives conducted follow-ups on cases involving sexual abuse, juvenile battery, theft by deception, and other criminal matters. These investigations require detailed work and coordination. I appreciate the effort that our team continues to put forward. Our school resource officer maintained a strong daily presence in all school buildings through walkthroughs, recess patrols, traffic safety details, in addition to his DARE instruction and sex offender registration responsibilities. On that sex offender registration responsibilities, that's actually being transferred from Officer Bright to Officer Favela. He's going to be monitoring our sex offenders. The SRO will continue to assist with some investigations, school safety matters, community meetings. He maintained visibility and building relationships within our school remains one of our top priorities. From a professional development standpoint, officers attended staff and command training, AID-RIDE, which is Advanced Roadside I forget what the acronym, but it's Advanced Roadside. It has to do with drug recognition for DUI purposes. Breath operator certification, and then officer training, some officer training. Continuing training ensures our department remains prepared, professional, and aligned with best practices. We also received 13 FOIA requests and conducted 1 K-9 deployment during the month. Overall, January reflects the department is proactive, engaged in the community, and focused on both enforcement and prevention. I'm proud of the work that our officers are doing. Before I go to the yearly, I'll see if there's any questions pertaining to that report. I know you guys just got it. And if there are any questions after, feel free to contact me. All right, I'm going to move to the yearly report. So I just want to say that we are committed to community safety and service. We continue our focus on proactive enforcement, transparency, accountability, and professionalism, and we're still remaining to build strong community partnerships. Just some personnel updates from 2025. New hires, we hired Officer Hanson in July, Officer Santoya in September. Officer Vega resigned from us in March and went to be back at the Chicago Police Department, where I hear he's doing quite well. Sergeant Eisenberg completed Northwestern Staff and Command, and as I mentioned just earlier, Detective Werminski was their Employee of the Year. Just crime and enforcement overview, significant increase in our proactive traffic stops. Note that in 2025, we as a group had 3,803 traffic stops during that year. Our DUI arrest increased. Also, our DWL arrest increased to 49, so that's driving while license suspended or driving while license revoked. And we continue to focus on enforcement efforts throughout the year. Just some traffic crash data, just some comparisons. In 2022, we had 115 traffic crashes, 2023, 123 traffic crashes. In 2024, 120 traffic crashes, and in 2025, 118 traffic crashes. Crashes have stabilized despite some major enforcement increase. Use of force, we had 10 total use of force / show of force incidents, which is down from 15 from 2024. Our most common type of use of force was an armed takedown. We had 2 taser deployments, and we also had 5 taser displays. So when I talk about the overall use of force that we actually only had 5 total use of force. The other 5 would be the tasers being displayed. The majority of our incidents involve people with mental health issues or being impaired. Just an internal review summary. So we had 6 internal investigations throughout the department, which were all initiated from the department itself. We had 1 for neglect of duty, 1 for misuse of property, 1 for conduct. That conduct one, the officer was exonerated on that particular one. The previous 2 that I mentioned were sustained. And then we also had 3 pursuits or 3 internal investigations pertaining to pursuits which were all sustained. Community engagement, we have over 120 community events that we attended. Some of the events to speak of, just to highlight: National Light Out, Dare, Sandwich Fair, Toys for Tots. Again, we continued. We did hand out another 1,000 popsicles during the course of the year. We have to replenish our stock for the upcoming year. And then we continue to have strong visibility and positive community interaction. Some equipment and support services, just to highlight there, we continue our investment in our squad car equipment, which has continued over this year. Technology and evidence management support, we continue to focus on our evidence room, clearing out evidence that needs to be disposed of. And then we continue to do our ongoing training and officer development. Just moving forward for 2026, some of our focus will be we want to continue to sustain our proactive traffic enforcement, continue our community engagement initiatives, maintain accountability and transparency, and support officer training and development. That's all that I have. If there's any questions.
All right, questions for Chief Senni?
Just gonna ask, is it possible at some point, could you break down the list for citation and warning of those traffic stops? And then I was also curious if you could do the same thing for the arrests, if you could split it out for criminal and warrant. And then I was also gonna ask, is it possible, I'm sure it's just a computer thing, for the ex-patrol business and house check, if you could split out the ex-patrols from that?
The extra patrols and house checks?
Yeah, it just the house and business can be together, that's okay, but I'm just curious as far as the number of extra patrols, if you could split that out. And there's no hurry on any of that.
Just extra patrols, yeah, that should be easy to do, all those things. Can you just repeat what you want or send me an email?
I'm sorry, it was, and I could have asked you later, for the traffic stops, I was just curious, out of all those traffic stops, if there could be a breakdown of the citation versus the warnings of each of the officer-involved traffic stops. And then basically, I was just asking the same thing for the arrests, if it could be split up as far as criminal arrest versus warrant arrests, just to differentiate the two.
Just to give you just an overall view of that, I'm gonna just be able to tell you that the actual number of citations that are written are substantially lower. It's more of the education factor.
Oh, absolutely.
And actually, the amount of written tickets are gonna be even, the vast majority, each month when I do the monthly, if you, it actually will show the number of citations that, it'll break it down to written and warnings, and then the rest of them are verbal. So I'll break that down for you.
Great.
Would you like me to bring it back or just send it to you?
Either or, it doesn't make, like I said, there's absolutely no hurry with any of that.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, other questions for Chief Senni? All right, there is no engineering report or economic development report tonight. They'll be moved to the March meeting. It moves us to item 10, unfinished business. Item A, discussion of potential changes to license and permit fees for implementation effective May 1st, 2026. I think our goal will be to vote on those at the March 2nd meeting, so we'll turn to that page in your packet. We'll just kind of go through those. Class A liquor, 1,500, proposed was 2,000, that's a $500 increase. Class B, 1,000 to 1,500, that's a $500 increase. Class C1, 500 to 1,000, that's a $500 increase. And then the C2 license, a $200 increase from 500 to 700.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
if at any point we want something different, is now the time to tell you, or?
Yeah, because
afterwards?
just tell me because I'm gonna go to the next break.
Well, I had mentioned at last meeting, and I was suggesting a $200 increase for just the Class A, B, C1, K, I, J, and E licenses. And then I had talked to a few people over the weekend, and I saw where other people had made their suggestions. And I'd actually be willing to go up $300 for each of those licenses. So basically, the current license, for example, a Class A would be $1,500, so then, and that's just a regular bar license, if people were wondering. So that would go from $1,500 to $1,800. The Class B, which is basically the liquor stores and the grocery store, that's a $1,000 license. I would be proposing $1,300 for that. C1 is basically the gas station licenses. That was $500, so it'd be going to $800. The K license, which is basically the two gaming parlors in town, Lily's and Lulu's. I believe they are a $1,200 license, so they'd be going to $1,500. And then the I is the hotel license, that's at $1,800. I propose that go to $2,100. Golf course, which is the J license, $1,800, that would go to $2,100. So I think $300 is a more reasonable increase. And as I said last week, if we do increase the gaming license on each machine from where it is currently at $125 to the state max at $250, that would be an increase of $750 for most of the establishments that have 6 machines. 6 machines is the max that someone can have. So we'd already be making money up there because it'd be a $750 increase. They'd be actually getting charged $1,500 for those 6 machines. So
Rich, on K, did you have, you said 1,200, but our sheet says 1,500.
I was looking at the issued liquor licenses from May of last year, and the K liquor license is $1,200.
Okay.
And that was created by ordinance 2012-20.
All right, we'll take a look at that, make sure those are right.
But those were the only ones I had a suggestion for the liquor licenses. The other ones I personally thought was okay. We had listed on there to eliminate the beer garden, which I thought was smart. If there is an outdoor dining one, which it looks like there is, I think you could get rid of that one also, because we've never charged anybody for that. It's listed as $50. It was proposed at a no change 50. I think
Let's
we're-
go back to beer garden if you don't mind. So I guess my concern is I see places that don't have a beer garden that just have people outside drinking and there's nothing there, there's no regulation, it's not always clear that, you know. I think it's different than a place that has the fence that it requires, they have a place that they can go, I have no problem with that, but I do see places where now they've added a table outside, so that means either no outdoor dining or they haven't complied with the beer garden, so.
Well, and again, there's the days of beer garden where it's a double fence or whatever, because you think somebody's reaching a beer through the fence. I don't think that applies anymore in reasonable terms, et cetera. I mean, someone else, please speak up if you think
Well, I mean,
elsewise.
I know
but-
we had an issue where there was a question on the code, and I think the code only says that they can have essentially alcohol from door to door, right? There's nothing really grants them to take it out in their premise.
I'd have to see that for the door-to-door, but if someone's got the outdoor area, whether it be the old-fashioned smoking areas where they did away with the smoking and people have the outdoor patio, you know, out the back door, sidetrack, the VFW, I think EC Pages when they were open, I believe Corrals might have one.
There's- yeah.
So that's just my thought, and then if you're bringing up the outdoor dining, again, it's silly, we should never have created it to begin with, because you're certainly not gonna start charging the creamery for having people eating ice cream out on their picnic tables, you're not gonna start charging Johnny K's for people eating out on their picnic tables, so
This was to serve alcohol out in that area.
I'm not talking about serving alcohol, I'm talking about just the outdoor dining, that aspect being brought up, and the actual beer garden, because nobody's ever had the beer garden.
Yeah,
So
but
again,
the dining rich that wasn't on private property, it was on public property. It gave them the ability to put an outdoor dining area on public property with,
And I understand that
ADA
through
constraints.
COVID and everything, but it wasn't, I mean, hopefully, we don't go through that again. I was just trying to simplify this stuff. If we want to leave it on the books, just because it's going to clutter things up, and even though it's not enforced or not used, then leave it on the books. It was just a suggestion to try to clear it up where we could.
I'm just concerned about people that don't monitor that, right? I know at least one restaurant I've talked to that their patrons just go out there, right? So what keeps them from just, then it become an open carry, you know, and going right to their car with it?
Well, I would assume that would be either them themselves for their personal responsibility, or the police seeing them walk with something and be like, hey, by the way, you're not supposed to be on the roadway with that, you're not supposed to be on the public sidewalk with that, you're not supposed to have that in your car.
Yeah, I just see it's kind of more of an enforcement thing. I wish just people would do the right thing, but I get the fact too, they have limited staff as well, so you can't create something and then not regulate it. It's just like, you know, a concern of mine, so.
I get it, I mean, same thing with concern of somebody buying a beer at the store and giving it to an underage person, but we can only control so much. There's laws in place, and people either obey the laws or they don't.
So let's go back to, so D1 through H, there was no proposed change. I assume everyone's fine with that? And then L was the Opera House license, that's still $50. And then the brewery, which we haven't had, but it'd be nice to have someday, was $750. And then the movie theater, which I know we granted, I think, 2 years ago. I haven't never heard an issue with the movie theater, but they're $500. Anybody else have any different numbers? I know that some of them were turned in the administrator that you favor one or the other as we try to wrap this up. I mean, I like Rich's number of 300 better. I think 500 was a jump. Okay.
I mean, if we want to reopen this for further analysis, it's certainly everybody's prerogative, but I had to rely on direction over the last 3 months to put this together. So I thought we were finally getting close to the finish line, honestly. And,
Well, it sounds like we are, just not 500, it's 300.
well,
If
that's
we're gonna-
fine,
if we're
but
gonna
I had
change the
3
term of
aldermen
those.
that responded and a clerk.
I responded during open meeting 2 weeks ago.
I'm sorry, Rich.
I'm just letting you know,
I
and
asked
none
you
of that
guys to-
information was put there. I understand that you put it out an email, but just because I didn't respond to an email and put something in there, doesn't mean that my stuff is any less
Okay.
informative.
No,
Okay, so I think we came to agreement that it's 300, that's fine, we'll move it to a ordinance process. And then we'll direct our legal to prepare that. So let's move on to 10. So 10-1 through 10-6 are kind of those strange amusement ones, so I think the recommendation is $50. If we'd ever have one, at least have it cover the clerk's cost to prepare the license and administer it. Does anybody object to that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that one, sorry.
The 10-1, 10-2 areas, they're highlighted in yellow. Those are your circus, menagerie, carnivals, sideshows, other exhibits. Just moving that to 50, should we ever have one. I couldn't see us charging $5 for that if something does show up. And I am old enough to remember the circus in town, maybe one or two of them, so. Shooting gallery, recommendation was to eliminate that, so I think that's probably good advice. No change on our music devices, billiards, bowling alleys, or coin-operated.
Actually, you had an update for that one.
Yeah, what do you have?
2 weeks ago, I talked about that one also, and I said that Denise had made the recommendation of not wanting to have the separate one, because people have to pay for per pool table, per dartboard, you know, pay for the jukebox, pay for whatever, so rather than someone paying for 6, 7, 8 different things, I had talked earlier with Denise, and I think I mentioned it last week, 2 weeks ago, when we met, as far as having one fee for whether you have one item or if you have 100 items. You could have 20 video games, kid video games or whatever, but a $100 fee for basically the old coin-operated. So that would cover the dartboards, the jukebox, the, air hockey, anything like that. So for example, the bowling alley that has 5 claw games, 4 video games, a jukebox, air hockey, a basketball shoot hoop thing, they would have to pay one fee.
Is that a technical term, shoot?
But I don't know what it's called, pop a shot or something
Okay,
like that.
that's better, all right. So what are you proposing? So this is,
I think if you did $100, I think it's a reasonable amount, and you can have as many amusements as you want. Before, they were spending $50 for one thing.
so are you looking to collapse the music devices, the billiard pool hall, and the coin-operated?
All together, if that makes sense. And like I said, I mentioned it to Denise earlier, but, I kind of leave it up to her with her being the one that issues the licenses, if that makes more sense.
It makes it a lot easier
So
doing the
it
license.
wouldn't be $100 each, it'd be $100 for all
$100
three.
for
Any of those 3 items.
for any of the 4 items, really. It'd be dartboard, jukebox, pool tables, and anything else. Because like I said, there's pinball machines, there's
Well, when I
anything.
say 3, I mean everything but the bowling alley.
Oh,
The bowling
sorry.
alley is per lane.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
Okay, yep. All right, so that's your recommendation is 100.
So just so I understand, like if somebody just had a jukebox and that's it,
$100,
it's $30 now and it's gonna be $100.
correct.
But if somebody had a jukebox and a claw game, instead of paying $60, they'd pay $100.
Correct.
Okay.
The state still licenses those, I think they're like $50 or $75 a pool table or a device, so. Okay. And then we're going to eliminate dances in a single event, go-kart tracks, and we had a motion picture fee. So everybody fine with eliminating those? Okay. And then lastly, raffles. We do have people use those, but, so it's anywhere from the $600, which is the IRS or state limit, to $20,000 is a $25 fee, and then it's progressive unless they get to the $5,000, which then it becomes a $5,000 beyond that, $5 each. So I think we're all good with those. Okay, next page is animals. Recommendation is to keep the kennels and the same. Chicken permit fees, now I really don't know what goes into checking out your chicken area, but we have $25. I'm sure there's probably more work into that than the shed permit I just had to pay for. But $25 still sounds reasonable, and nobody, I think, asked to change that. Bed and breakfast the same. I guess we need to have a conversation about Airbnb. I know that's really not an issue for our community, but it easily could be. And so that would be a new addition to the ordinance. Do we want to keep that the same as like a bread and breakfast, which has some other requirements to the health department versus an Airbnb, which is a short-term rental? I'd say we probably start at $250 because that's what we charge for a bed and breakfast, but do you feel that's a good amount or you want it higher?
I'd say we keep it there.
Keep it there until it becomes a problem?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we'll add that. And then we did increase tobacco last year from $50 to $300, so there's no change. No change in outdoor dining, no change, oh, there's a recommended change on the video gaming, so we're gonna move that from $125 to $250, which is the max for up to 6 machines. Everybody go with that? And then our administrator is proposing a business license, hotel operator, storage facilities, less than 25 units, 26 to 99 units, 100 units or more. This would essentially just be a facility license. Landlord registration, $25. Oh, so some of those are different, right? The business is 25, the hotel is 250, the storage is 100, 250, 500 progressively. Everybody fine with those? That will be new for those as a,
Are we leaving the Connex one in there?
it was not in here. It was taken out, I think.
I think we should keep that in there, I really do. But make an ordinance that they have to look a certain way, that they can't look trashy.
I think that'd probably be a terrible idea to see Connex boxes everywhere in everybody's backyard. I mean, I'd be all in favor for construction purposes to lock it, but, I mean, those things are pretty long. That fits on a, what, 53-foot?
But some of them are in our town currently being used by the
Illegally.
businesses. Right, so what we want to do is, don't we want to make sure that was a very contentious discussion several months ago, and then it just went flat, so.
Well, what if when we have a building and then they needed more storage, so they put the Connex box next to it, which looks terrible?
Why can't we just make an ordinance that if they are terrible, then they have to get rid of them? I mean, we fine them if they don't. And then we,
Problem would be is we have an ordinance now that they can't have them, yet they still do.
Correct, and that's what I'm kind of getting at, is that it's kind of, it needs to be identified, so if it says you can't have it, then we need to amend it and then allow it with stipulations. I mean, LDL transfers look very nice. You go to some of these other ones, they're all leaning in people's backyards and listing and that sort of thing. There's a big difference between the two, right?
I guess I feel like.
They're
that's
using
a-
it for their
I feel
own
like-
stuff over there versus,
I feel like that's a slippery slope. Had I go put a Connex box in the back of my yard versus my shed, it looked like a very different backyard, and I'm sure my neighbors wouldn't appreciate that.
I've also seen them where people have really decorated, you know, and put siding and turned
She
it
shed?
into an, I mean, almost where it's a livable space or whatever. And I mean, yeah, if it looked beautiful like that, I don't think anybody would have a problem with it, but it's probably getting to that point that people would have a concern.
Yeah, I know St. Charles has a home made out of those, but that's multiple ones. that
yeah,
have
I don't
to be
think if it
engineered.
looked like a Connex box, anybody would care. You'd say, I'm getting a shed permit, right? So
I know somebody that did a swimming pool.
I'm good with leaving it off for now, but that's definitely something that we need to like go back and revisit and try to clarify, so.
Yeah, I think that might be a bigger discussion of size and location, and setback, a lot of other things, and how they have to maintain those. I mean, I prefer not that it just says China's overseas shipping company on the side of them as a advertising, and so. Okay, let's come back to that then. So,
I did have one comment about the four $25 ones. The business, landlord, vacant building, and the contractor. My first question would be why, and I do understand why we would want to do this, but I think it's silly to do it now for 3 reasons. One, what info is even being requested? We haven't talked about that, we haven't addressed that at all. How are these lists going to be maintained? We haven't addressed that at all. And, you know, who is going to maintain them or have access to them? Is this something the PD is gonna do? Is it something the front office is gonna do? Is it something the building department's gonna do?
yeah, so I think when we looked at that expansion of the position from code enforcement to a larger responsibility, they would take this under, so the landlord was requested because we have a lot of landlords that we have issues with. So we want to make sure they have the CO2, they got the fire extinguisher. Second floor, I would hope they had a ladder to throw out if there was a fire, just some basic, simple safety things. We've had quite a bit of issues with our landlords with property maintenance issues as well. So I think that came from our building official, from where he was at before, as a way to kind of regulate those and make sure that they're as safe as possible. And that would come through that system. The vacant building, we've had an issue with those. I thought originally the proposal was $25 a month, because we typically have to go back and look at those and make sure that they're at least being maintained to some level, so we don't get to where we're at with some of our other properties we're adjudicating or mitigating. And so I think that that's where that came from, where they'd have to check back in with us so we could clear them and make sure either things were turned off. We had a water break over the winter time, as an example, so at least we'd know that it's vacant, who to contact, if there's someone else like a property management company, which is much similar to the contractor fee. I think if we have complaints about a contractor, we at least would know who it is. I know a lot of communities list those as approved, so at least, you know, there's some level of insurance, or that they haven't had any complaints filed against them. And I think that's the intent of the building department as well, as they had a list of contractors that we wouldn't push people to, but they would be out there as registered with the city. And that'd be the same system.
Would we be better off waiting until we have somebody in that position? Because I think there was a notation somewhere that all of those would require an ordinance for each one, if and when we decide to do it. Or maybe that was further up, I don't recall. But again, I understand the why, and the way you describe it, that sounds good, but I mean, we still don't even have a way or a process where we're identifying lead lines, and we've been working on that for months and months and months.
I think we could approve it so we don't come back, since we're doing all the ordinance updates. I think it'd probably be a little cost savings at that time. And then I would hope we'd have somebody hired by that point. It's not gonna be effective till May 1st, so. Do you have a comment?
No, I was just gonna say, some of these things, I think it notes on here that, you know, they would require, you know, like business licensing, contractors' fees, landlord restriction, things that would probably need some more comprehensive regulations versus just a, you know, just a fee.
Yeah.
And so I think that it would be beneficial to have kind of that more comprehensive, you talked about short-term rentals too, things like that, that would probably need their own
So why don't we
regulations.
split these to changes that don't need an ordinance for those, and we'll split the other ones to ordinances that we'll prepare? Because some of these will be new, the clerk wouldn't charge them anyway until we hit them on the books. And the business one was important because we ran into a couple of issues where we don't know who was the manager, or we find out something unlocked after hours, we don't know who to call. And it'd be nice just to be able to pull that system up between us and the police to know who we have to get a hold of, so. All right, so we'll split that way, and then that's the way we'll kind of handle those that are new. We'll split, those are just changes of amounts, and those that require the ordinance to be drafted through the different sections of our code. All right, sound like a plan? All right, mobile homes, there's no change. That's what we can charge by state limitation. Solicitor fee recommendation from $50 to $100. The change came back, it just looks like it keeps it at $50. No, the change was 50 more, so the total will be 100. That covers some of the costs that we have. And then solicitor fee per day, still be $25, no change. The solicitor's bond would increase to $500. That would be a change, an increase of $200. Hawker's roadside stand, no change. A 3-day permit would go from 50 to 100. The mobile food vendors annual would go from 100 to 50. That would be an increase of $50. The single event, there would be no change. The farmer's market, there would be no change. And then the stationary food vendor is being proposed by our administrator. Other communities seem to have these. I think he gives the time frame May 1st to April 30th. It'd be new, it'd be a $500 requirement to stay someplace more permanently. It's a higher amount just because it's requires some other things there for them. So ADA compliant, probably some lighting, some other issues that they'd have to have, and it essentially becomes a standard business. Any comments on those for the peddlers and solicitors?
Well, I know that the mobile food vendor has been a very lively topic at times with various reasons. I mean, if you went right now and you just got 6 individual daily permits, you're at the price of the annual, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, is there a benefit to us to have a tad bit more beef to it, like 250 versus 150?
Yeah, I think at least 200, if not 250.
I mean, as many complaints that came in over various reasons, I mean, I think we spent way over $250 on dealing with the 2 that were in here, and they probably will still be here, right? So
proposal is 200 or 250 for the?
Probably
annual?
250, I'm thinking.
I'm good with 250.
Okay. All right, we'll change that then. Okay.
Ideally, we want them to get brick and mortar shops in town and like
Yes, we do. Pay taxes. and
coffee
have a
shops now in
place
Plano, right? So,
and Sit down, yep. Okay, I think all we have left is the solid waste. There was no recommended changes for that on that page, and then if you'll flip it over, we have our over-the-limit vehicles. I don't think there's any changes to that. It's been a very good ox cart program for us. Forest mowing, I see we have 150 to 250, so I think that's a little steep if you look at what it actually costs, but if we're trying to make a point of mowing your yard, that's,
but that's also 250 per hour as it states.
It was 250 per hour, but that was approved by the council in 2015. It
Right, but-
was not approved, it was approved by a motion rather than an ordinance, so that it would go into the municipal code.
here, I'll make this easy. How long does it take you to mow your yard, Jay? 40 minutes. Carsta? You got a yard and a half, don't you? Fred?
20 minutes.
Adam? 25 minutes. Janelle?
30.
Rich?
2 beers.
Pacheco's 45 minutes? Matt?
About 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm about 25, so.
But-
If we're looking at probably
what-
an hour,
But wait, just from my business standpoint of that, being in the mowing business, we're not just mowing a normal lawn at this point.
You're
We're
done.
mowing one that's overgrown. So that my 20-minute lawn is now gonna at least take me over an hour to do to make it what the city would want.
and probably debris, right?
And debris, yes. And you know there's gonna be stuff in the yard as well.
So if it's
That
two,
overgrown.
if it's 250 and it takes you more than an hour, do we prorate that? Or is it just roll over to now become 500 once we get past an hour?
I think if you did the 250 per mow, because if it's a real small yard and it's, well, after the first time they get hit, you wouldn't think they'd want to get hit again. But we all know it's always the same houses. It's always the same thing on and on. They know what the deal is, and once they get their 2-week notice again, they go put it off for another 2 weeks, and then maybe they mow, maybe they don't, so.
Right, and I mean, the liens are liens and they're not paid off until the property's sold. So,
So it sounds like
or they're
250 is
trued up, so.
consensus.
I mean, I'm good with it being 250 an hour if you just want to leave it to keep it simple, but boy, that seems awful steep, and hopefully we're tracking that accurately to where it's just not 1 hour every time, and it's truly
But they
the
should
hour.
get charged a minimum of an hour.
Denise, when was the
Yeah.
last time we did a force mow?
Haven't had too many.
Actually, last year,
The
one.
one in Ward 1, but before that?
Prior to that, when this was passed, that's when we had all those foreclosures. And we were hiring, outsourcing, because we didn't have the manpower to keep up with it.
All right, let's just say 250. If it's a problem, we'll come back and change it. All right, and then the last item was recommendation to eliminate the vehicles for hire. I know we have taxi cabs and per cabs because we had some in the community. I don't think of it, I think of Uber and Lyft when I think of for hire, so. Do we want to eliminate that license, or, I don't know what's legal for Uber and Lyft, but, leave them, take them off?
I say,
It's been a few years since ACAB was in town,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
when they were here, they were busy. You know,
Okay, you take it off, if it's a problem, we'll put them back on. Okay, I think that's all of our fees. All right, don't think we have any items for new business on here. We'll go right to older person's report. Adam Arnett,
Mayor, we have the utility fees.
what'd I miss?
The utility fees?
Oh, yeah, I missed that, huh? Okay, let's go back to that. So 86-2, these are the inspections, trip return charge, we're recommending 30 to 50, we're good with that change? That's our recommended time from our staff, I believe.
which one are you on, Mayor?
86-2, utility fees, this is access to the premise for inspection, this is a return trip charge. which means we went there the
Yep,
first
yep.
time.
Nope. I had to get to the right tab, sorry.
Yeah, so that means we've been there once and we had to return back, like somebody wasn't there at their time. We can't give them the cable company thing from like noon to 5 o'clock, so. All right, so everybody good with that being 50? Base water fee stays the same. Our sewer base fee is recommended to go from 10 to 20. It'll assist with our loan payment,
We just raised.
and it also equals our water. Connections for water mains, 2,500, proposed at 2,700, and the same thing for multifamily, that's 8,610. It's a $2,000 increase. Everyone go with that?
I don't think I'm good with the increase for the sewer fee, since we just did that.
Which
for
one, the $20?
Yeah, raising it $10, because we just did that for the water. I mean, people are still struggling with everything we did with the water. I don't think that we can do sewer yet. I really don't.
That's the thing is with the sewer, have we done the math as where we are with payment versus raising the cost?
Have we done that? I don't know that I have. I don't know if the staff has.
Well, I remember that EEI put together calculations for us of what our rate should be. We should probably just go back and double check those to make sure that that base rate wasn't something that was going to be increasing in 2027, right?
Well, this is the quarterly, so I don't know if that was on their list.
I
Theirs
believe
was-
that there were base rates in there.
Okay. All right, we'll take a look at that. I know that the recommendation was increase that to match the water, and that was to pay the bond payment, which starts to become due.
And I do have a question, just to simplify everything, on the rest of these utility rates.
Yeah.
Where do we compare with, I know I had talked to Jeff and left a message with the paperwork I dropped off. I was hoping that as Sandwich, we stay comparable to surrounding municipalities as far as utility fees, connection fees, inspection fees, all this stuff, so that we, or even a little less, to try and invite more housing projects, businesses, stuff like this into our town versus raising rates to a price to where no one wants to come work with us.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I thought our engineer gave us some numbers. Jeff, do you know where all these numbers came from?
I do, I checked them against Plano and Yorkville. And these numbers are all based on where they were before. They're $200 more than what they currently are, and that was last changed in 2015. You know, I did compare these to Plano and Yorkville. I didn't fit on the sheet. If I need to go back and pull that out, I can do that.
So let's leave the change, and let's have the staff go back and review those so that we're not any higher than Plano or Yorkville. Okay? Guess that's a quick way to go through the whole page. All right, with the exception of the bottom, so 8610, water and sewer shut-off fees. Again, that's different than the other one, which was inspection. This is a shut it off. The recommendation is from 30 to 50 to cover staff time. It's a $20 increase, so this is the bottom of the page. No change on the reinstatement fee, which is the turn on. And then if they want an after hours, the staff recommended that because it becomes a call out situation, we move it from 200 to 250, adding $50 for the call out after hours. Everybody good with those last couple changes? Okay, I think that's our fees. Thanks for catching the last page. All right, let's go back to Alderperson's report. Alderman Arnett.
I just want to let everybody know, you're gonna be seeing a charge come across for the wash press. We had a bearing go out. That one could not be bid out. It's around $8,800 because the bearing and the equipment is proprietary to Huber, so Huber needs to come in and do the equipment repair. So I just want to give everyone a heads up on that.
Okay. All right, anything else?
No.
Alderman Chun?
I have nothing right now.
Okay, Alderwoman Erickson?
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but Alderman Chun, or Ketchum and I got a resident that, with their water bill being late, just want to know what, if they can prove to us that they've done it through their bank, and they have it, or they've had it postmarked a certain way, why are we not doing something for our residents? Why are we just making it an umbrella that everybody's late, you're getting it? I see that people can actually show us what had happened, And we're like, too bad, so sad, you're being charged.
Yeah, I think this is the issue we've had with at least one bank in town where it shows it comes out of the account owners, but then the bank doesn't cut the payment and send the payment on time, which Denise is nodding her head. And that's a problem, so it's still not being delivered to us in time. I get the fact that they may have initiated it before, but if their bank's not sending it to us, and we've had conversations with at least one bank in town, like, hey, this isn't working, or these people just need to pick a different method to pay their bill. And I think that's what we keep running into, is that you can't rely on your bank to pay your bills on time. You can only rely on yourself to pay your bills on time. So I know that's been kind of our stance, because we had that at least a couple last year like that, and we talked to the bank and said, hey, you know, the people that have this money in your bank are doing X, and yet Y is not happening correctly. And so we had that conversation. I don't know that we can change that. It's just that they're going to have to change the way that, either they're going to have to request it earlier, so it's cut earlier. But I don't think that, you know, we should be waiting for our money just because the bank didn't do it. I'm sorry that they initiated it before that, but if the bank doesn't cut it, it's still not delivered to us. And I don't know how we change any different than someone that didn't put it in the Dropbox or do
But
an
then we
online
have that
payment.
too, where somebody dropped it in the Dropbox, and it didn't get to Denise until 3 days later or something.
No, that's not true. That's what we were accused of. We check the overnight boxes twice, first thing in the morning and then at 5 o'clock at night. So for someone to say that we sat on the check, that's wrong.
Denise, wasn't that an instance where they put it in on the day after Thanksgiving? And then we didn't have anybody in the office until,
We're closed.
The following
yeah, we were
Monday.
closed the whole time. So it got posted on Tuesday or Monday, something
It
like
would
that.
have been, it was Monday.
It was posted on Monday, which unfortunately made it late.
So in that instance, how is that their fault if they put it in the box?
Because we were closed.
So how is that our fault?
I think maybe an idea, sorry,
No, you're good.
a lot of other municipalities, and it's not our job necessarily to babysit when
No.
your dues are, your bills are due, but a lot of municipalities for water bills will put out like on their social media or their city website, like, Ward 1, you got your water bills this week, please make sure you got them. And then they're due this week, so please make sure they get in before their due date, you know? That way we're at least reminding people, so we don't have all these instances of people not, you know, I didn't know I had it, I didn't look for it, or this or that. We're giving you a chance to get it in on time, so.
I've made a lot of people angry, but I don't want to be the one that picks and chooses whose bill gets waived and who doesn't, just because of every circumstance being different. So we've been very hard-lined. If it's not in the office at 5 o'clock, and that's when it's due, then it doesn't hit that day.
Does
I
it say
think-
it on the bill? Has to be in by 5 o'clock on a certain day?
Says our hours, I believe.
But it doesn't say it has to be there by that time. I mean, me personally, if I wanted to put it in there before midnight, I think it'd be,
I think the way that City Hall has accepted it would be if it was due over the weekend, when they, first thing Monday morning, when they get those, they'll count those as all good. If am I speaking correctly?
Yes.
It would be, so everything that they get out of both boxes that Monday morning, those are all good. So if it's in there later that day, and it's already the first of the month or whatever, no, that's not. But if they put it in over the weekend, and that's why I saw the same complaint, and I didn't put much weight into it because just because your daughter or son said that they dropped it off on time, if they dropped it off on time, it's gonna be registered on time. Because I've been there to see them check the boxes and everything, and it's good that day. So,
just was asking.
Yeah, I mean, so we just, you know, I think that's been always our position. If it was due and it was received, then it was received. If it wasn't, then it's late.
Can we maybe though, just in the future, when we send them out for wards, say, you know, Ward 1, your water bills went
Yeah,
out?
we can review the language on the water bill, or so that spot on the bottom.
I
where
mean,
we
even
put-
like on social media or the city website, you know. They're due this week, you know, they went out this week. I think
Tony,
that
we
would
still have
be,
the running ribbon on the top. Or Jeff, right?
Yeah, we have a running ribbon.
Yeah, so we could probably utilize that as well, as long as they go to the website.
or, you know, we have a Facebook page too, so.
and they can always pay it ahead of time.
Or put it on What's Happening Sandwich, because everybody reads that.
They read what?
I do have a question on the one for the Black Friday, though.
Yeah.
Was it in there Monday morning?
I don't know the circumstances of when it was due. I just know that
Because
we're
a lot of
closed.
people don't think about Black Friday as a state, national, anything holiday. A lot of people have to work that Black Friday, and they think that the city would be working.
I think the staff puts, we're closed for holiday on the door as well.
We were closed on Black Friday, but that Monday, which was December 1st, was a grace day. So even if they put it in over the weekend, they were not charged a late charge until Tuesday, the 2nd. And that's where we had this discrepancy.
That Friday?
They said they paid it on Friday, but we were closed on Friday, which means they could have paid it on the 1st, and there would not have been a late charge. The late charge incurred on the 2nd, which was a Tuesday.
So they did say they put it in the box, in the drop box on Friday.
But then it
But
wasn't
obviously
there on
they
Friday,
didn't
or
Because
on
they
Monday.
didn't receive it until Tuesday.
Oh, okay, okay.
This is where I don't like to get involved in all the stories that we have to read till they get to us where we, I mean, then I gotta call the chief and have him come down. We gotta start an investigation, and we don't wanna do that, so. Right? Okay, so I don't know that there's a real good answer, other than the fact we've been very hard-lined. If it's not in when it's due, it's late. All right, anything else? Okay, Alderwoman Inman.
Oh, no, I just said
Same thing.
during Alderwoman Erickson's.
Alderman Ketchum,
Nothing at the moment, thank you.
Alderman Cranbrink.
Just a safety PSA. Please don't do any burning during these dry conditions. People are starting fires and they're leaving them unattended, and it creates additional work for us in the fire service. So we just had one today that took out about 3 acres, it looked like, of grass and woods and everything like that. And it's because somebody just walked away from the fire and got out of hand and tried putting it out and thought they had it all out and went and took a shower and started back up again. So it's like the 3rd one in 3 days. So little fires get big really quick. So, and it's dry as all get out right now.
Alderman Robinson?
Nothing tonight.
Okay. Any announcements from the staff? Audience comments? Doug, did you fill out a form? First of all, it's nice to see you, by the way.
Thank you very much. No, I didn't.
Okay, just so the clerk has that, so.
I think you know who I am.
I do, yes.
Okay. You know, we're in a small town. Some of the stuff that we're talking about, water bills, if you want to come knock on my door every 3 months and make sure I pay my water bill, that's fine. But I think we're all big people here. If the kids today can't pay their water bill on time, that's not my problem. And nor is it yours. Don't keep beating a dead horse. I'm looking for you guys to all of a sudden do something drastic because of all this. I just don't think we need to do it. I don't think we need to worry about these people that can't pay their water bill on time, okay? There's things out there and organizations that will help them. If they don't go get the help, that's not our problem. Shut their water off. Maybe you need to extend the time that they have to pay it. It's not a big deal. Just don't start making a bunch of changes. It doesn't make sense. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to make a comment? All right, is there a motion to adjourn from
Yes,
the
sir.
committee of the whole? Alderman Robinson, second by Alderman Erickson. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed,